All right, we're here for the second oil analysis. So if this is the first time you're seeing this video, in the first video, I actually had an oil analysis. I'll go over that here just really briefly. So my first oil analysis was at 500 miles on this brand new Ram Rebel as a break-in procedure. So if you're not aware, I'm following the Motor Oil Geeks break-in procedure, which is changing your oil at 500 miles, 1,500 miles, 3,000 miles, and then 5,000 miles. And then after that, you just do normal oil changes. It's been interesting. The first oil change I had, I'll show you here in just a second, actually looked, like it really needed to be changed at 500 miles. Now I'm going to show you one that is about 1,775 mile oil change. All right, just to level set here, here's both of the oil analysis from Blackstone, one at 600 miles, one at 1,775 miles. Just so everybody is aware, this is a 2026 Ram Rebel, brand new. I bought it from the dealership, and I've already changed the oil twice. I use Pennzoil Ultra Platinum Oil 0W20. I'm going with the factory spec, and I'm planning on, if I keep the truck, to go with a 0W40 and just see how it compares to the 0W20. So in my first 600 miles, you can see in that middle column there, on November 15th, I did that. It looked like my aluminum and my iron and copper and all sorts of other values, the silicone, were high. They were elevated, and that is fairly normal for the first 500 miles. The Motor Oil Geek on YouTube obviously says the first 500 miles, you need to get that oil out, leave the filter in, and then go up to about 1,500 miles, do it again. Change your oil, leave the filter in. The reason he says to leave the filter in is because it filters better as it gets a little more dirty, I guess. We're not wanting to, not change that oil filter at 5,000 or 3,000, but in that first 1,500 to 3,000 miles, we leave the factory oil filter on. And it shows that the Motor Oil Geek is kind of spot on again. If you look at the values, my first values in the 600-mile oil change, and then the universal averages way over on the right side, those universal averages, I was above those at 600 miles. So now let's fast forward to this most current oil change at 1,775 miles. My aluminum is half of what it was at 600 miles. So I've gone more mileage, 1,100 miles, a little over 1,100 miles on this oil change, and I have half the aluminum content, parts per million, in my oil. I have half the iron in my oil now than I did at 600 miles, which is really good to see. My copper went from 23 parts per million down to 6, which is in line with a normal oil change. So overall, everything right now, I actually think it's looking great. That second oil change, I probably could have even extended it to maybe 2,000 miles, 2,500. Probably wouldn't have made that big of a difference. You can see the silicone down there is also in range. They do say at the top here, they gave me a metals and silicone are lower. That's what we should see. The wear and metals wash out of the engine, and we basically get more progress. So they're essentially saying, they say the iron is a little bit higher on a per mile basis, and we won't be surprised if the wear rate is closer to average levels soon. Low silicone shows good air filtration, and the oil filter didn't have any trouble with insolubles. The viscosity is 0.20 in the 0.20 range. No excess fuel, no excess water or coolant contamination showed up. So essentially everything's right on track for 1,775 miles. The next question will be, my next change is at about 3,000 miles, I believe is what I'm going to change it at. And I'm going to do the filter then as well. So I'm going to cut the filter open, see what it looks like inside the filter. But so far, this Hurricane is looking pretty darn good. I can't really complain. And as far as the oil type, I'm running 0W20 now. I've been monitoring my oil pressure and oil temperatures, and it's the middle of winter right now. So most of the time I'm in 40 to 50 degree weather driving this around. And what I've noticed is the oil temperature gets up to 210, 220, kind of depends on the heat of the day, how I'm driving it, and I'm not towing. So I think, I really truly believe this. I'm starting to believe this with all these twin turbo engines. If they can handle a 5W30, like if I lived in Texas, I'd probably be looking at a 5W30. I'm in Colorado, I can see really cold temps. I'm probably going to be looking at a 0W40, the same one that the same oil that the Hurricane High Output uses. It's a very good oil, Pennzoil Ultra Platinum. It's really not that much more expensive, and I plan on doing another oil analysis. So after I get to 3,000, 5,000, I'm probably going to swap over once these values stabilize from Blackstone, and I can see that I'm kind of just on schedule every oil change, then I'm going to switch to 040 and see what happens. I'd love to see the viscosity, in a little bit higher range, a little bit more shear protection. And I know everybody will say, well, 040 gets out of spec faster than 020. It might get out of spec faster, but still an out of spec 040, I think can still protect more at the shear level than say a 0W20. Now the Motor Oil Geek, hopefully I'll be able to reach out to him and get him on the channel to see what he recommends, because I know he's been really pushing this narrative of it kind of depends on where you're at, your climate, what time of year it is, and just all these variables, your engine type, whether you're towing or not towing. I really think there's just a lot of variables, and you can't prescribe one oil for one engine type across the whole country or across the whole world. We just have too much variation in our climates and the world we live in. So I'm going to keep doing it as long as I have the truck. When I say as long as I have the truck, it's because it's essentially a YouTube purchase. You know how long these things last. You get 10 to 20 videos out of these trucks, and then I'm going to decide if I'm going to keep it long-term or not. So that's kind of where I am with this Ram. I really want to take it through the 3,000, 5,000 and get to 040 just to show you guys what's going on. If you're looking at this oil analysis and you're wondering like what matters on this, to me, the most important thing is the aluminum, the iron, copper, silicone. Those are kind of important. Everything else though, if you look at this latest oil change, I think it looks really good. And when you compare it to the universal averages on almost every line, it's either within reason or it's actually better. So even though this oil change only had 1,100 miles on the oil with the original oil filter, I still think that if you extrapolate it out, like looking at my aluminum, I'm at about half of what it would be at 4,500 miles, according to Blackstone. And then my iron is about half of what it would be. So if I had gone probably 2,500, 3,000 miles, I probably would be in that range. Once again, the Motor Oil Geeks, his prescription for this at 500, 1,500, 3,000, 5,000, I think his prescription is really good. And I'm not driving this vehicle hard at all, really. I mean, I've done some kind of hard pulls with it, but I haven't been towing. So I really think seeing the wear metals still slightly elevated over what they would probably be at 5,000 miles kind of indicates that it really does make a difference, probably long-term for the longevity of this truck. Whether I keep it or it's passed on to someone else, someone's going to get something that was at least, the metal swarf cut out of the engine early. So I think it's good. Also, have a question for you guys. If you could just drop a comment. So on my website here, I'm actually planning on either making a dedicated section to oil analysis where everybody can just kind of crowdsource and upload their own oil analysis. And I would just start by uploading mine. And I thought it would be interesting to kind of crowdsource this. I see a lot of guys posting their oil analysis in Facebook groups and everywhere else. Be really cool to have it all in one place. So when we go drill down to vehicles, we could see specific to years and models, just see oil analysis for different engine types. It'd be kind of interesting to see that. I think it would just help people understand whether or not they should drop into a 5W30 or a 040 or a 020. It'd just be kind of cool to have more data and have it all in one place. Let me know if you guys think that would be a good idea. I don't think it would really take me that long to build the feature. I just need to get some time to do it. So that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. Till next time.